Welcome back to UKSM. Before we get started with the next run, please remember that we're doing this event to try and raise money for the fantastic people at Special Effect. They try to make the lives of physically disabled people better through the use of custom gaming peripherals, making their lives a whole lot better in the process. They are a fantastic charity, so please give if you can by following the link in the stream description or by typing in the link that you can see scrolling across your screen on our information bar. Every little helps, and we'll be reading donations out periodically throughout the show. Alternatively, you can purchase one of the UKSM shirts or hoodies that can be found on our store. The link to that is also in the stream description. Up next, we have Instasim with Ratchet and Clank. It's up there, why am I struggling? Ratchet and Clank, size matters any percent. Whenever you're ready, give us a countdown so that we can accurately keep track of your time. Whoa!
Ow. That hurt.
That was angry. Yeah, introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Right, so my name's Instasim. I come from Wales. So, yeah. I do Twitch streams. This is Jarna. If you want to introduce yourself.
I run the original trilogy. Yeah, do a lot of strat hunting,
Yeah, this is... I have done speedruns of the original Ratchet and Clank game as well. I do this one, right, Ratchet and Clank Size Matters. I'm currently 7th place on the leaderboard with this. My most recent PB was a 54, if I remember correctly. That puts me 7th place on the leaderboard, 4th place on emulator. We're going to have a bit of fun because it's actually a really good speed game. It's very underrated. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of movement involved. And things that we can explain, we'll try to explain them as best as possible. Now, there are a few places, especially at the end of the game, where I am going to ask for complete silence. So when that happens, basically, I want complete silence because it is quite difficult to do if there's a lot of noise in the background. Now, we start timing on first movement on this one, so I'll just count down before I start, and when we start, we'll start the timer, all right? Cool.
And
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to see here, this planet is Pokataru. Now, Pokataru, it's designed like all Ratchet levels. It's a big circle. So we're just going to solve that by clipping straight out of bounds and going straight to the ending. We're going to glide over here to this rock and make sure not to get eaten by piranhas. Now, we could go straight to the ending from here, but we need to level up this weapon anyway, and we have to wait for a cycle. So it just makes a lot more sense to just kill these guys, grab some bolts along the way. Now, we will have to do a lot of bolt grinding during this run, because there are some very expensive items that we are going to need at the end of this level. Or at the end of the game, sorry. Particularly during the final boss.
I'm hoping I can get this first time. There's the bird. I got it!
Hey!
That was bird strat, so that basically saves a ton of seconds, and a ton of seconds does help
going through the entire level. We're going to wait here, and we're going to make sure to high jump at the very end. Hit the trigger a little bit earlier.
That was Pokataru. So in the next planet, you're going to see something that we use a lot in this route, which is called ship proxies. You'll see how it works. It's very weird. It's pretty much the easiest strat in the entire run.
And it is by far the most broken. So we're going to start by getting some bolts. And you can see Ratchet's ship over there. Now, this ship has some really glitchy physics.
Oh, there we go. We're out of
point where you can proxy straight up in the air. So the way this works is the cutscene of Ratchet getting in and out of the ship is way up in the sky. Normally, you would just get teleported up there when you enter the ship, and you get teleported back down to the ground when you leave. But because you high jump, the game can't teleport you because you're not in a grounded state. So it just leaves you straight way up in the sky. And we can just glide straight down to the end.
Now, we use ship proxies on quite a few planets. We use it on the next planet as well. We also use it, there's a planet near to the end called Chaluk, so we use it on that one. and we use it also on Diny Moon. So, like, a lot of the planets, like at least half of the planets, I think, if I remember correctly, we use ship proxies at some point. We don't use it straight away in the next planet like we did on this one.
We need to find some bolts.
But yeah, because we need to get some bolts in the next one, and we also need to get a gadget that we're going to be using later.
Yeah. When I said it teleports you way up in the air, it teleports you way, way up in the air. So the game hasn't crashed here. It's just Ratchet's fallen below the screen. We just have to wait until the level comes back into view again. Now, optimally, you want your ship proxies to go as low as possible, but getting them to go that low is really complicated. You have to do some really complicated manipulations. This is the first Clank section of the game.
This is the only Clank section of the speedrun.
And the only Clank section of the speedrun. And as I said, very, very short as well. We're going to use this Gadgetbot to clip out.
I hope I get this. I should hopefully get it. There we go. I think we're okay. Let's see.
Line it up on this wall.
Line up on the wall. I'm going to take my time with this, because if you don't get it, then you have to reset it. I didn't get it. Maybe I can save it slightly, because we haven't moved the Gadgetbot. No, I didn't get it.
This can take some.
It can take some time.
And missing it means you have to set it up again.
Yeah.
It's like this in every Ratchet game. There's always that one dumb skip that is just way more precise than the entire rest of the game.
Okay, that's...
Usually in a section where you have to use Clank.
Yeah, so basically with the Ratchet and Clank games, now most of them have a Clank section of some sort. Now Clank sections are slow, they're boring, they're uneventful. So we always try to find ways to skip them. Now, on this game, basically, we line this up, and if I can get it this time, I can't get it this time. I'm going to try my old way of doing it, if I can get that working.
Skipping Clank sections is a huge part of the Ratchet speedruns, because Clank just walks so slowly, and there's no tech with Clank. The only tools he has at his disposal is jumping, punching, and in some of them, he's got these Gadgetbots.
I think
he can use to do glitchy stuff.
I think the only game where Clank is actually somewhat useful is Secret Agent Clank, but that's basically a game...
That's just by default.
That's just by default, because it's basically a game centered around Clank.
Look, in the later games, Clank sections did get more interesting. In Tools of Destruction and Crack in Time, they are a bit more interesting. There are some way more interesting skips you can do.
I might be just going too close to the wall there. It is quite a precise one to do. Yeah, that's too close to the wall, I think. Don't worry. Right. Like, I am still way within estimate anyway, so I should be fine. That's why I kind of gave myself quite a high estimate, but we should be okay. I think this will give it to us, actually. No, it didn't. Yeah, it is a very precise one to do. I'm very sorry that this is basically taking up a lot of the time at the moment. And I apologize to everyone watching. They're probably going to be laughing at me in chat.
I guess I should explain the emulator as well. This game was originally released for the PSP. There was a PS2 version of it, but the PSP is by far the quickest. However, PSP capture cards are just so hard to deal with, and PSP recording is in itself a huge problem. So for runs, we use emulator most of the time. The PSP emulator is actually very consistent to the PSP itself, so it works out very well. In all the other Ratchet games, though, the PS2 emulator is just way too bad to be able to run that game properly on emulator. Still use it for practice and strat hunting, but for actual runs, it is just...
Yeah, this strat isn't working.
Strat's kicking your ass.
It's still more or less... If you were to do the full actual Clank section, this is still more or less saving time.
He could mess this up for the next 5 minutes. He would still be saving time over doing the actual Clank section.
There we go, we got it.
There we go.
Right, so basically, we're now out of bounds. Now, as Janet mentioned earlier, Ratchet and Clank games, they're more or less designed in a massive circle, and essentially that is because to get away from the level, you have to go by the ship, and the ship is always at the very beginning of the level. So what the developers do is they always make it easy for you to get back to the beginning, and this Clank section is more or less the same. It's basically a massive circle. So we're now at the very end, we skip the cutscene, take this,
Back to the ship and onto the next planet.
and we can move on to the next planet because we're back at the ship now. And I'm sorry Rylus took ages, but that's Rylus. It shouldn't take that long.
Rylus, that happens.
Yeah. Sometimes it happens, but...
Very unforgiving trick.
Yeah.
So,
Now,
onto Caledon.
Caledon.
Now, this is where the first hoverboard race is.
Yeah. So this is the first hoverboard race. In the run, there are 2 of them in total. There's this one on Caledon, and there's another one on the medical outpost Omega after you blow the hell up out of it. This one gives you a gadget that you're going to need later on, and you have to do it because there's no way of getting the gadget without doing it, which is slightly annoying.
Now, however, the good thing about the hoverboard in this game, in all the other Ratchet games, the vehicles, they're always made out of glass and paper. So if you so much as touch any of the walls or any of the ceilings,
Now we're going to do
they
a
will
new
explode.
strat here, and this is called Himalayan Skip, and it basically just skips all the way up there. Saves about 20 seconds.
Yeah.
It's a new skip that I learned. And I want to shout out Alamusa. He has the world record in this game. I don't know if he's in the chat, but if he is, shout outs to Alamusa, who has the world record, and actually I think he told me about it as well.
Yeah.
Also shout out
Luckily
to-
in this game, the hoverboard is actually built well enough that you can do actual skips with it. In the other games, you can do death warps and stuff, but it is nowhere as interesting as this.
Also shout outs to Wheeze, who helped me a lot with practicing Ratchet and Clank Size Matters, and everyone else in the Ratchet and Clank community as well, Size Matters in particular, for just preparing me for UKSM and for helping me get along with this as well. But just now that can happen, but it's not a problem. The
Respawn point is right there.
Yeah, the spawn point's right there.
Yeah, Ratchet still isn't very good at riding in this game.
Doing that is, it's not difficult, but it's not easy either. 'Cause you have to, there's a way to do it. Yeah, I'm just gonna go down normally because I am now in 4th place. And if you finish in any other place other than 1st, you have to do it again. Because if you don't win, then you don't get the fight. You don't get the
Gadget.
the gadget you need. In practice, I probably would have carried on, but the good thing about the other hoverboard riders in this game in particular, they do go quite slow.
They're all rubbish.
So they're all terrible, except Ratchet, obviously, because Ratchet is awesome.
Ratchet's hoverboard is way quicker than the rest of them.
But that kind of helps us slightly because it means that we can catch up to them very quickly and basically get 1st place,
Just win the race.
which is what we need to win the race.
Is this a good time for donations?
Yeah, go
Yeah,
for it.
you can do donations, yeah,
We've
absolutely.
got a £20 donation from Sam. They say, let's see some mad skills.
Mad skills.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Sam. Right, we got Himalayan Skip there again on the 3rd lap, which helps a lot. So we don't have to, not do it, which is good. But this is the 3rd lap anyway, so we're at the very end of this race anyway, so it's not too big of a problem. And if I had more boost, I could boost right to the end, but we don't have enough boost, unfortunately. And that's the end of the 1st race. Oh. There we go. We exit out of that. And then we carry on.
So once again, the entire level is built on a straight path. So we're just going to use ship proxies to go straight to the end. Straight up into the air.
Right, we need to be... This one is slightly more difficult than the one on Rylus. Only because...
In a very specific area when you land.
You need to land in a very specific area, and you basically trigger a cutscene, which will take you on then to the next level. Oh wait, no, it doesn't. It doesn't take you to the... Yeah, it does take you to the next level. The next level is I think Metalis, but you're with Clank again. But you can't skip that one. That one's actually mandatory. Now I always go out of direction here because it's quite difficult to find exactly which direction you go.
There are no points of reference here. You are just looking at a black screen. What you see is what you get. The only thing you can use to find your path is the map. And as I said, you need to land in a very specific area.
There are some people who can go right to the end, and I really admire them for it. But the good thing about this is we do skip a boss battle. So there is a boss battle which is over this dome that we might be going over in a moment. We will be going in a moment, that big circle there. There is a boss in there, we completely skip it. In fact, in the speedrun itself, there's only like 2 bosses, but if you count the one that Giant Clank does, then there's 3.
There are tricks people have used by setting up timers and certain positions or certain notches on their joystick to try and align themselves up perfectly so they don't have to keep looking at the map, to show you just how precise the area you have to land is.
I'm going to be slightly safe here and just go back a little bit, just in case, because if you fall, you have to do it again.
And once again, you go so far up in the air, there's quite a lot of falling. Thankfully, less falling than...
Yeah, there's less falling in this one, only because it is further away, so you are going slightly lower again. And that was Caledon.
That was Caledon.
Now we have a Clank section, which we can't skip. It's basically Robot War 3, and these robots are trying to kill us. We have to defeat all of them and not die. By doing that, we then get to proceed onwards because we need to get the coordinates of where Ratchet is. So basically, in the storyline of this, Ratchet has been kidnapped by Luna. Luna was a girl that we haven't met yet, but we will meet later. If you're playing this casually, you'd have met Luna right at the beginning. She basically says she's a tourist, and she's just looking for to do a school project, but Luna turns out to be evil, you know?
Who wouldn't?
Twist villains. So Luna turns out to be evil and working for Autodestruct, who is the main boss in this game. And essentially, Luna has basically kidnapped us. She got kidnapped on Pokitaru, and then she kidnapped us. So she's kidnapped Ratchet and taken him to a medical outpost, which we'll be going to later. Basically to do like tests and to steal his DNA to make mini Ratchets to try and take over the world, basically. So generally, just your typical, you know, everyday villain trying to take over the world. Just he's trying to steal the DNA in the process. Right, that's Caledon. I can probably do it faster than that, but I'm not going to do that for this.
It's really difficult to go fast in those flank arenas. Unfortunately, the next part of the game is just an auto-scroller, so if we have any donations, feel free to read them out.
Yeah. If you have any donations at this point, then feel free to shout them out.
Currently, no donations at the moment.
Ah. Go donate, people. It's for a great cause. Special
good
Effect are a
cause.
fantastic charity. They help disabled people get into gaming.
Yeah, this is just a huge, long gauntlet run while you're also going forward. It's really boring, to be honest. This is by far the worst section of the run.
The only thing is you do have to shoot these ships, and there's some slightly bigger ones as well. And the reason why, if you see on the top left, there's a 0 or 20 rockets there. Now, by the end of the level, we need about 9 of them. And you can only get them by killing other ships. So we have to be killing the ships during this auto-scroller and get 9 rockets at the end, so that we can basically destroy something later on. But I'm not going to spoil it, because it'll go by very quickly. It's very easy. It's basically the first boss battle we see in this game, if you count it as a boss battle. I don't necessarily, because I just say it's at the end of an auto-scroller, so, you know, it's just that, really. But it goes by very quickly, and we need 9 rockets to defeat it really quickly. But yeah, if any donations do come in at all during here, then just feel free to shout them out. You don't have to ask during this one particularly, because it's just a boring auto-scroller and nothing eventful happens. It's all just the same old stuff.
Again, what you see is what you get.
Right, so you'll see the thing that we'll need to defeat later on in a moment. There it is. So that's the Mama Techno ship. I think it is. Technomite ship or something. Technomite. I don't remember what they call it. They'll give you the name.
Technomite something or other. It's been so long since I've actually watched cutscenes in a Ratchet game.
Now, the thing with me is, even though I do speedrun this game quite often, I don't really read the names of the villains much, because it's not really important for the run. So I often just glance over it and think it's just a health bar. It'll just disappear in a moment.
It's fine.
It's fine. We don't necessarily need to worry about it. But it's Technomite ship.
Technomite ship. Something
Technomite
like that.
mothership or something. I think we're gonna argue. We'll just call it Technomite mothership for the sake.
Techno ship.
But yeah, that's what we'll need to be defeating later. It'll have a health bar at the bottom, so technically we count it as a boss battle. Well, technically it is a boss battle.
No.
Yeah. It goes by so quickly that we don't count it as one. Well, I don't anyway.
In the game, it's classed as a boss battle, but
yeah,
really, it's not.
Like if you were playing it casually, then you probably wouldn't go by it as quickly as this. But there's nothing stopping you really, because it's a really boring boss battle anyway. Casually, all it does is shoot rockets at you. You just have to avoid them by just going around in circles, because they are heat sensing missiles that it shoots you with. You just have to go around in circles really and just shoot it every now and again to make sure you kill it. It takes forever casually if you don't have enough rockets, but if you have plenty of rockets, you can defeat it really quickly. Which is at least the good thing about it. We don't have to spend too much time on it. So coming up to the end of the gauntlet, and afterwards we're going to have a sort of a...
this boss battle.
It's like a... I don't know what you call it. An obstacle course, that's what it's called. Now there is a checkpoint just before this, so if we do die on Technomite Mothership, then we go back here, but we lose all the rockets. So ideally, we don't want to die on the Technomite Mothership.
This game is very, very punishing. Way more punishing than all the other Ratchet games. They are very sparse with checkpoints, and they are... all the enemies have way more health than they have any right to.
Yeah.
In fact, it's one of very rare games where completing it in NG Plus is more difficult than doing the new game. Especially this section. This section is so much more difficult in NG Plus.
Right, you can see how quickly the health bar's going down there. Now, we've got it. There you go. So we get a skill point. That skill point is you get 600 points on the top there. By the health bar, you'll see 611. If you get more than 600, you get the skill point. We always get that skill point. It just shows that we're skillful people.
We get the armor as well, the armor piece for this, but unfortunately in any percent the armor is completely meaningless. In NG Plus, the armor actually plays a pretty big part. But in 80%, it's...
Yeah.
You would have to go so far out of your way to get the pieces that would actually save you time, it's not worth it.
From Dining Moon onwards, basically, regardless of how much armor you've got or which armor you have, you're going to get one hit killed anyway, no matter what. Because we just don't have enough health. Like, if you're playing this casually, then you'd probably try and get as much health as you can.
Grind a lot more enemies, but...
Yeah. In the first playthrough of the game, the maximum health goes up to 50.
Right, so this is Ratchet's dream. And we're going to start here by just grinding a little bit of weapon XP because we need to get this weapon leveled up. Should only take 2 or 3 kills with these guys. We're also going to be grinding bolts because there's still more stuff we need to buy. Thankfully, this is a pretty quick grind.
Yeah. So all we have to do basically is we kill these 4. Well, they're birds, but if you look at them closely, they look like needles. Now,
They're all syringes.
yeah. All we do is we kill the 4, we hyper strike them because then we can just one-hit them with the lacerator, and then we kill them and we also get the XP from it, which will help us level up our weapon.
And a little bit of bolts as well, which
Yeah, we get a little bit of bolts as well. Also, if there are any donations at this point as well, then feel free to just, shout them out if there are any.
If you're wondering what's happening with the screen, sorry if you have motion sickness. This is Ratchet's dream level. So the whole point of this is, as Insta said, Ratchet's been kidnapped, and this is currently what he's dreaming while he's being experimented on. And there's the level up.
There you go, we leveled up the lacerator to version 2. We need version 2 at least at this point anyway, because it makes killing some enemies later on a bit easier. Now what I do is I go over to this vendor over here by just jumping over, getting the bolts, dying again, because this then gives us a little bit more XP. It doesn't really give us that much, but I just do that again because it makes it easier for setting up the next bit anyway. But with the version 2, you don't have to hyper strike, you just hit them once, and then they one-hit kill with the lacerator. Now in this game is very strange. The wrench is pretty much like the second most powerful weapon in the entire game, which is very odd. Most Ratchet & Clank games don't have that. But yeah, now this part is... No, I didn't get it, that's fine. Now what I'm trying to do there, I'll let Janet explain it actually, because then he might be able to explain it better.
You can concentrate a little bit more. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to double jump into a checkpoint and then suicide to just respawn basically on the entire other side of the level. For some reason, the checkpoint area is gigantic. So simply by lining up properly and double jumping over,
no, I don't
hit
know.
it. It's a very precise double jump though.
I can usually get this fairly okay, but you have to double jump. You can't single jump. But if you get it wrong, that was...
You just hit the death wall. You just hit the death wall. The death wall and the loading zone are right next to each other.
I might just not be lining it up properly, because that's usually why I fail this. Yeah, I didn't get that time either. I don't know why it's failing. It's all this marathon stuff, isn't it? It always happens at a marathon. Always you get the
Always doesn't work in a marathon.
I'm sure everyone can agree with me on that. No, I didn't get it that time either for some reason. Right, we got it,
Hey!
So that gives us a checkpoint which skips about half the level, or maybe a quarter of the level, I'm not too sure. Gonna get these crates. Now I am slightly over bolted at this point. Now if I wasn't on 45,000, I would just die again and it would give me a few extra bolts. About 4,000 bolts extra, which is handy. About 45,000 at this point is alright. We are going to need the bolts anyway. But you might have noticed when we got the continue point, we did have a health level up. Basically, because we've skipped the whole thing, the game thinks that all the enemies they're all dead, and it thinks that we've killed them. So it just gives us all the nanotech and the experience.
Now weirdly, every single Ratchet & Clank game implements wall jumping, and in every game they use them here and there. In this game they use it once.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Luckily in the run we use it quite a few times.
Yeah, there is one point where we're not meant to be using a wall jump, but we do use a wall jump. There is a point in the game where you would need to use it casually, but you don't use it in the speed run, and it's... Oh wait, that was... I don't know what happened there. I think I didn't kill him, did I? Those quarks take 8 hits with version 2. I thought I hit it 8 times, but I must have not done so. That was my fault. I'm going to skip these enemies here for now. Because I've already killed them once, I'm not going to kill them again. It just wastes time. I'm slightly worried I might not have enough lacerator ammo at this point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Get the bolts. There we go, we got the bolts that time, so that was handy. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. Try and get the bolts as well. We might get a few, we got a few. I am going to get these ones as well. Because they're just there, they're very convenient, and it gives us the lacerator ammo that we need. We more or less do need a full lacerator pack at this point, so it does help.
Get rid of these guys.
The one thing about the gravity areas, by the way, when you're on these grav ramps, you can't strafe, which is the only thing about the grav ramps, which is slightly annoying. That you can't strafe, and if you press circle, usually you'd get the ammo that you used last. On the grav ramps, for some reason, you don't. Right, this lacerator is going to level up after I kill this core. And it did. Now all the quarks take 5 hits. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now usually my lacerator levels up to version 3 on that one, but obviously because I messed up slightly, it didn't. It leveled up on the other one. But it's fine, as long as we have version 3 at this point, we're okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's another thing you notice in a lot of the Ratchet games, that leveling up your health is really broken. Especially in some of the later ones, because in Ratchet and Clank 2 it would level up every now and then. In Ratchet and Clank 3 and all the rest, it just levels up constantly. And by the time it's maxed out, you already have like the best armor in the game and everything. So having just a random insta-kill essentially of everything on screen is just really overpowered.
Yeah, so the Ratchet and Clank 2 level up, when you level up the health, it will destroy anything that it sees, and sometimes you can kill enemies with it. I call that death by nanotech. It's fun. So you level up your health and you kill people in the process, get some more experience, you know?
More XP.
Every little helps. Now in this game, it's slightly broken. I don't think it kills the enemies that are close to it, but you can level up your health really quickly, which is really good, although we don't necessarily need health, so it's not like a big problem. Now usually, after I went into the vendor earlier, usually you would hit the you'd hit the portal thing with your lacerator, and that will take you to where you would get the titanium bolt. Now, if you're doing all titanium bolts, you'd obviously need to do that. Now, in any percent, we do that now because we usually don't have enough bolts. Now, because I had about 70,000 bolts anyway, I decided to skip it because I'd already had enough bolts to suffice. Now, if you were on, say, about 55, maybe 60,000 bolts, then you would need to go there just to get a few extra bolts. It is quite difficult to do though, but if you line yourself up properly, you'll be fine.
Right, this is the giant Clank fight. Now, you'll notice that it's pretty much an auto-scroller, but there is a lot of manipulation you can do. For one thing, you'll notice that he's always turning. He's never walking in a straight line. That is because Clank will only properly attack when he's looking at you. So as long as you keep turning, he just spots you a lot quicker. And that speeds him up.
Now, Giant Clank here has 3 main attacks. you'll see this jumping one, and the jumping one gets these butterfly thingies. Now, the butterflies, if you hit the butterflies, they will damage you. I think they'll kill us in this, actually, I'm not too sure. Now, he's also got these bombs, and you may have seen it once happening where he kind of kneeled down and then you get a stream of butterflies. This is the point where it ends. When you get the last 3 here, it ends. You get the skill point there. That skill point is for not getting hit by Clank. I think it's called something like, you've got a friend in me or something.
That's like one of the easiest skill points in the entire Ratchet series.
Yeah. Basically...
Other than the one in Ratchet and Clank 3, which is literally just buy the armor.
Yeah.
Get the skill point for some reason.
I think leveling up your health to max also gives you a skill point. I can't remember.
At least you have to put some effort into that one.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, so this is the medical outpost. Now, one thing that's going to become quickly apparent here is the doors aren't solid above themselves. Now, I think that this was due to the PSP has a very limited amount of RAM, a very limited amount of memory, so they had to save space wherever they did. So they didn't put collision basically on anything that was more than a double jump high. But then they added wall jumps as well, so you can easily get higher than that. And put boxes all over the place. Although one thing I do want to mention first though, this was the coolest, like, unlocking minigame in any Ratchet game.
Yeah, I will admit, this is a really cool one. Now, what you have here...
Such a good idea. It was just a grind rail.
Yeah, it's basically a grind rail. Now, we use the shrink ray to go into here to use the grind rail. You get the shrink ray on the race in Caledon. Now, if you skip the race in Caledon, you can't do the grind logs, which is the only annoying thing, really, about the shrink ray.
That's the final skip we're looking for.
Yeah.
One skip for that door, and then that cuts like another 2-3 minutes off the entire run.
As you can see, we're now out.
The doors aren't solid. For some reason, the roof is. So we're just going to go through this entire level on the roof and skip everything.
You do get continue points. Now, that's, I think, the only continue point we do get. Now, you could play it safely. I nearly fell then, so thankfully I didn't. You could play it safe here and get another continue point later. I'm not going to do that.
Honestly, it's just way too easy to not fall off here.
Yeah.
All the roofs are massive, and you can just go on them.
The way we go back in, you see that titanium bolt there, we basically just do that. Well, if it works, there we go. Yeah. And it just kind of clips you back in because that cutscene is above the wall. So
yeah, the animations go back in bounds again. Once again, another shrink ray lock.
Here's another grind lock. I think this is the only other grind lock we do in this run. I don't think we do any other grind locks. I could be wrong. I don't remember exactly.
It's hard to remember under pressure.
Yeah. Until you actually get down and do it, it's hard to remember the things in the route.
It's like everything. You couldn't tell the route of any game that you run. You can just do it. Right, now these guys won't attack you as long as you're standing on the other side of this door, which makes them way easier.
You can just go slightly into it, and then these turrets will start to attack you. They'll spawn in. You can just hit them. I think it's 7 hits each. There we go, that's fine. We'll just get some more ammo here.
Be on the safe side.
Go over here.
Right, now these guys at the back, he's going to have to kill them. You see the mech suits at the back, if they jump into them, that's a big problem. Those guys shoot really quick, and they take a hell of a lot of bullets.
There we go, we've now leveled up, that's a good thing. Usually I level up a bit later on there, but it does make this a lot easier by leveling up, because then we can just kill these quicker. And thankfully, they do take 2 hits to kill you.
Yeah.
So we're not completely...
I'm pretty sure this is the last planet where you will have 2 hits worth of health. After this is one shot,
yeah.
Everything will one shot.
Well, everything one-shots you from this point, basically. Now, I think we're going... No, wait, we're going back to Medical Outpost. But basically, in casual, the whole place would start to blow up.
If you watch the cutscenes, the whole place blows up, and then when you go there, the hoverboard rises are back. Fortunately, this one has some skips as well, and it's not nearly as long.
There is a new skip that I've learned on this, actually, and basically, there we go, got it. Now, this is very weird. I don't know why. You can't skip these cutscenes, but this happens. And we can
You
skip
die
all the
here and
way.
respawn back in on the track way further along.
Yeah. Now, I don't remember how to do this exactly. I think... Oh, no, it's fine. Oh, wait, never mind. Yeah, we're still saving time, so it's fine. There we go. You got it.
And go back under the track.
Go back under the track. Triggers this
Respawn
checkpoint.
on
Respawn
the next checkpoint.
right at the end of the
First lap.
first lap. And we can just sort of glide over to the end here. And we go underneath it and we get the lap.
There's lap 1.
There's lap 1 done. Now lap 2 is slightly more difficult because you have to do something slightly different because we can't go into the ship. But it's not too difficult. We just jump on top of here. We jump to the side. We glide off into the sunset. Over to here.
And hit some more checkpoints.
It's that,
Death
and we
roll
do
back
the
on.
exact same thing again. Where we can just go underneath the track, over here, down here, and we can trigger the checkpoint. And we're back at the end of the second lap. And we can glide over to the end.
And we win the race.
And that's race 2. Now we just die here because it's quicker to do that. Go into our ship. And we go off to Chalax next. Chalax is very easy. It's a ship proxy all the way to the end of the level. It is a little bit precise because you have to be going straight ahead at all times.
There's a lot of invisible walls and death planes in the sky for reasons that don't quite make sense.
If there are any donations, by the way, then feel free to say them now as well. I don't know if there are any. Are there any donations? One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now this is basically every about 3 seconds you just jump up. Now the more you stay down, you will end up dying eventually. So you want to go as low as you can, but we kind of go slightly faster by just jumping up every about 3 seconds or so. You'll then see the level slightly load in a little bit. You'll see some of the sky load in. There we go, there it is. Now from here onwards, we'll just slightly go down a little bit more. We want to turn to the right, towards this dirt here. We want to be level with the dirt. And there's a specific reason why. Now in a moment, the level will load in. Hopefully. If I've done this right. Hopefully I've done it all right. We'll find out in a moment. Have we got any donations in?
No, no donations, I'm afraid.
That's fine.
Yeah, come on.
Come on, guys, get donating. It all goes to a great cause.
If you are in the audience and you feel like donating, you can go to twitch.tv/UKSM Live. They'll have all of the information that you need.
There we go, we're at the end of the level now.
There we go.
So the level loads in, we're at the very end. Now, this building is very, very special because it doesn't have any collisions on it whatsoever, apart from the roof, which would be over you if you were doing this casually and you came to the end of the level. Now, we could just kind of clip into this, you know. I'm not too sure where I'm supposed to go. There we go.
There we go.
Check out the cutscene, and there we go.
And that's the end of the level.
Chalax. Done. We don't go through Chalax. We used to go through Chalax. There was some nice skips. I think you do it in ATB. You don't do it any percent anymore because you've got the ship proxy. Basically, if we've got ship proxies, we use them because they're much faster than doing anything else. Now, I think I have enough bolts. I have got enough bolts. Now, I need 85,000 bolts here. And there's a reason why. Now, we need to get 2 things now. We're going back to Caledon because there's a special vendor we need to visit. Now if we go to the original vendor, first we can just get some ammo. Now we need the shock rocket. The shock rocket is quite powerful. It'll help us later against Luna and Otto. And we've also got this vendor, which gives us a dual barrel mod. And that's all we need from Caledon. Go back to the ship.
That's it. And now we can finally do Moon.
Now we're back to Diny Moon. Now, next thing we do is we do more ship proxies again. There's a specific way to do a specific type of one, which doesn't take you as high up. Now I'm going to attempt it. If I don't get it the first time, then I'll just do it normally. If I get it, I don't think I got it. That's fine. No, I didn't get it. That's fine. Oh, I just did that. So we're gonna wait. We're gonna have to wait ages now. So basically, when you wrench strike in the air, it'll take you forever to go back down because you're way up in the level. So it's going to take a while.
Is this a good time for a donation?
Very good time for donations.
We now have a £1 donation from Ozita. Donate, you say? Why not?
Why not? Absolutely. Thank you very much for that donation.
Thank you.
Also a great cause. Thank you very much for that donation.
Every pound helps.
Right, that was dumb. Now let's try it again. Okay, that's fine. Now we need to go this way. Now, look, we've mentioned this before. All Ratchet levels, they're basically a massive circle. If you went a bit lower, this would be a bit faster. But because we can't get it, we didn't get it this time, it's fine. It's not a huge problem. But if we just go to there, that's the end of the level. But not quite, because we've got a boss battle coming up in a moment. This is Luna. Now, from this point onwards, one hit by any enemy in the game will kill you instantly. So we want to try not to get hit, basically.
At this point, it's avoidance tactics. There's nothing else we can do. Going out of your way to get armor is just not worth it when you can just run away from danger.
Yeah.
And not fight stuff.
Now we need to get this continue point, that's fine. Now that continue point just helps us a bit, because if we get hit by Luna, at the very least we don't have to go back to the very beginning of the level, do the ship proxy again, and all that stuff. We can just go back there. But the only problem is, if you do get hit by Luna and you die, then you have to do this part again.
Section again.
To do this part again, there's another part where you get falling boulders, and then you got Luna. And you have to do it all again. This is the most annoying.
This is honestly one of the worst designed bosses in Ratchet and Clank, in any Ratchet game. It's probably one of the worst bosses in any game ever.
Yeah, I would say so. But this game wasn't made by Insomniac Games themselves. This was made by High Impact Games, which was basically a team of Insomniacs and Naughty Dog employees who all went into one game company together, and they made this game. Now, I'll admit, this is the better game out of the two that High Impact Games made in the Rack series. And I like the game casually. It's not a terrible game. But this boss battle is...
With it. Even as a speedrun, it's not wrong with it. Any percent has become ship proxies, but especially all the other categories, the slightly more completionist categories.
If you get hit by a boulder, it's also one-hit kill.
Really interesting.
Now, we just strafe around this. You cannot fall off the edge. I've tried. It doesn't work unless you jump. So basically, all the ledges in this game, as far as I'm aware, unless you jump over them and actually attempt to kill yourself in the game, you will not go over the ledge. That's slightly different to other Ratchet and Clank games, because if you go over the edge, usually you'll die.
Fall immediately.
Now this is Luna. I'm very close to Luna there, too close for comfort. Now she'll do some attacks. She'll try and mow you down. She'll try and shoot you with those things. She's also got gas bombs.
Fortunately, Luna doesn't have all that much health. So with the shock rocket and the lacerators,
now these can actually be manipulated, and I found a way to manipulate them. If you stand in one place for a while, sometimes she'll behave and she'll actually just shoot the place where you're standing. And then you just sort of move away because you've got a few seconds before they actually arrive, which is a good thing. So try and mow you down again.
Yeah, you can just stand and run away.
She does 5 of them sometimes, where she just puts 2 in random places, 3 in places where you're standing or about to stand in. But if you do go into the gas as well, that will also kill you. And that's Luna.
There we go.
Thankfully,
Luna over. Now this is inside Clank, so you can see Ratchet's using the shrink ray. We're now going inside Clank. He's ill or something. This is probably the most interesting level in the planet. Certainly the hardest in the run.
yeah, this is definitely the hardest. But that's because all the enemies on this level can one-hit kill you as well, so it's not ideal.
There are a lot of them for some reason.
And there's a lot of enemies. This part is probably the most annoying, but thankfully it's at the very beginning, so it's not too big of a problem. Usually I don't get those as quickly as that. I'm playing it slightly safe though, just so that I can make sure that I get them. But each of these, it's 2 shock rockets, so it's not terrible. There we go, I got them all, that's fine. Now we want to go over here. Want to go on top of these crates. Make sure you don't have the shock rocket if you're going up these, otherwise you will not fit.
And once again, there's no collision above doors.
We're out of bounds now. We need to trigger a checkpoint.
Oh.
We triggered it, and then we just die immediately. There you go, and we're at the
The
checkpoint.
checkpoint and respawn.
Now these haven't triggered. It doesn't trigger the enemies there, so that's good. So they're just sort of mannequins there, which is a good thing, actually.
Right.
This has an interesting thing to do.
This elevator has a very interesting platform. Normally, it would just go down, drop off the enemies, then go back up again. And there'll be some minigame you have to do to get it to go back up. But it'll just go up so long as you're not standing on it. So you can just jump off it, jump back on, and it'll go up.
Yeah. So basically, there's 2 rounds of enemies there. We have to do one of them to get the elevator down, but we do skip the second one. This part, you don't actually have to kill the enemies at all. The fan comes on, and we start flying. And if you have the dual lacerator's out, we've got wings. And we do have to move forward as well, so that's the thing. I like having the dual lacerator's out here because it just makes it look like you've got wings. It's a fun little thing to do. It doesn't really save any time. It's just a little bit of fun. We're coming up to a very interesting part because...
Oh.
Damn it. We were coming up to a very interesting part, but I died because I got hit by one of them. As you can see, as we mentioned before, one hit by any enemy on this level will kill you instantly, which is the annoying thing about this level. You see? Oh. And that electricity, it does stay there even when the enemy's dead, which is annoying. But yeah, if there are any more donations, then feel free to just shout them out as well.
Perfect. We've got a £10 donation from Sandman. No comment, but thank you for the donation. £5 from Riku. I was going to yeet my wallet onto the stage, but unfortunately, my boss told me not to.
Ah,
Here's £5.
that's
Good
a
luck,
shame.
everyone.
Can I be your boss and tell
Don't yeet
you?
your wallet onto the stage.
Do not yeet your wallet and don't eat your wallet. That's the thing. But thank you all for those kind donations. It all goes to a brilliant cause. As I've said, special effects are amazing. They were at Wales Comic Con in April, actually. I met them there in Wales Comic Con. So the team there are fantastic. Right, this is interesting. Because we just go up here, and we're out of bounds again, because we got pushed into that wall. Right. Yeah, we got it, that's fine.
Now, there's a big long gauntlet run if you actually enter this room. Thankfully, we can stay half in and half out.
That was close.
Right. Now, we're going to get one of these pieces of debris.
Yeah, we're going to get one of the heart pieces. There we are. We've got the heart piece. Now, this is the one skip in this run, which I found. And it's basically, you go half into the heart piece, you let go of it, and you should clip through at some point. Now, there is a faster way of doing this. This is probably the slowest way of doing it, but it works, and it's fairly consistent. There we go.
There we go.
And we've clipped through that wall, and then now we've finished half the level. That was the skip that I found. I found that one. I call it Insta-Clip. Probably not very, it's not very imaginative, but that's what I want to call it now. And that's confirmed on UKSM.
Right, so this is the second part of the Clank level. The first part was basically a long gauntlet run. This is more of a platforming challenge. Thankfully, all these turrets and stuff have collisions, so you can skip most of it.
I don't think we have to actually kill any enemies here. I don't think these actually one-hit kill you, though, so I think these might be the only enemies in this level which don't one-hit kill you. They try to bite you. They're basically Clank's antivirus system. But for some reason, they seem to think that Ratchet is a virus, even though, you know, we've been with Clank for years and years and years.
And they don't know it yet.
You know, they think that we are a virus for some reason. Right, we're just going to go up here. Now, I'm going to have the swing shot out as well. So for this part of the level, you only need the swing shot and the demagnetizer, I think it's called. The swing shot is used here. We can just sort of swing shot off away
big
from
long,
there.
Cutscene of.
And we can just jump over these. This is a checkpoint, so at least we've got a checkpoint here. If we die, we probably might do, but that's fine. We're just going to wait for that. We go to this platform here, and we can just completely skip that platform. We're not going to stand on that one. We're going to just skip over to here. This gives us another checkpoint. Go over to this. I'm doing a slightly slower route on this one. There is much faster routes available. Other people can do them, I can't, so I'm not going to attempt them for this marathon in particular. I've died, that's fine. I only go back to here anyway. Those do kill you one hit though. They're like circuit boards, so obviously they use electricity. The electricity from them will kill you. Just have to find a time. There we go, we're all right. Now this is skipping this entire place. Now this, you'd have to go all the way around it. If we just go to this one.
Unfortunately, this giant thing in the middle doesn't have any collision.
Yeah, this giant thing in the middle doesn't have any collision.
Magnetize onto one on the other side.
And we can magnetize all the way to the other side, and we're here. This is the end of Inside Clank.
You see that armor piece there? That does nothing. We will still be one-hit kill. There's no point getting it.
Yeah, so we completely avoid it because it will just waste time getting it because you get a cutscene when you get it. There's no point getting it, to be honest. And that's the end of Inside Clank. I think that was the first time I did Inside Clank without... Oh no, I did die once actually on the first part. Now this is Quadrona. This is the final level in the game. We have now almost at the end of the speedrun. So if there are any donations, now is the time to say, because at the end of this level, I'm going to want complete silence.
Need some quiet. The final boss in this game is just ridiculously hard. Nobody knows why the devs actually made it so difficult. They had no reason to, but even like as speedrunners doing it hundreds of times over and over again, it is still very, very difficult.
Now, usually, casually, you'd go into this building, this thing. We're just going to walk straight over it, you know. That's just...
We could just straight past it. There's a big, like, enemy room in there, big enemy rush. But we can just go straight past it.
Just go straight past it. This, you don't actually have to defeat any of the enemies here, but they're just basically small ratchets, because obviously our DNA has been taken by evil auto-destruct. And that means that there's going to be Ratchet clones. Okay, I wasn't expecting I'd get that, to be honest, but that's fine. So basically...
A little skip.
Yeah, I did a little bit of skip, actually, so it's not too bad. Now, this part here will skip us right to the end, almost, of the level. We're now out of bounds, almost, nearly. We missed it. That's fine. This is the only other time in the game where we actually do a wall jump. But it's not intended, we're not meant to. We're just out of bounds now. Now, otherwise you'd have to do a massive, like, a room. You'd have to go all the way around into this room. You'd have to press a button. And then basically you'd have a big gauntlet against other Ratchets that lasts like 2.5 or 3 minutes, and there's no way of skipping it. You just have to wait for the timer to go all the way down to the end. It doesn't matter how many enemies you kill. We just skip all of that and we go up to here.
Go straight to the boss fight. Now, normally there would be this big long cutscene of auto-scroller, of auto-chasing you and
this is
destroying
actually
the floor in front of you, but we can just skip all of that.
Skip it all. Now we're Giant Clank. We're Giant Clank now, and we can just destroy Otto with the rockets, I think. Now this is the one thing I kind of struggle at doing quickly sometimes, because getting the...
This is the easy part of the fight.
This is the easy part of the fight, but it's weird to do.
Still not free.
No.
Giant Clank's physics are really wacky.
Right, this is what I want. Complete silence from now on, because this needs a lot of concentration. But I'm going to have the dual lacerators and the shock rocket so that I'm ready at least. Right.
Go.
No, that's dead. That's fine. You can carry on. Nope. Fine. Come on. Damn it. You can duck under those large ones though, but yeah. You want to try and jump as much as possible, really. Okay, we're at this point. I'm just going to pause it here slightly. I know it's probably wasting a little bit of time, but I need to kind of compose myself after doing that. This is the final stretch. We cannot get hit once, or we have to do it all again. Right. And he has a few different attacks. He has those punching. He has a star. He kind of, this one, there we go. That's the star. He does that as well. He does the punch. He also does some of those. Right, that's fine. Right. If we can get that, we can do that all the time, that's fine. That's a star, we're alright, we can just jump over that. Punch, we can just jump on that. That's a star, we can jump. We have 4 of these, that's fine, that'll make things a bit faster for us. That's fine. Right, we're coming up to the end, we're coming up to the end. We are coming up to the end.
It's going to be time on the end of his health bar. No!
No, that was, oh God,
Oh, that
no.
was so unfortunate.
That was unfortunate. Right, we're going to try again. You have to do this. Oh. That was close. It's those ones where he, those sliding ones which always catch me out on them. Again, I want complete silence here anyway. For some reason my X button isn't working, I don't know why.
As I said, this boss fight is very punishing.
Yeah. You get hit once at any point and you have to do it all again. And it's the only annoying thing about it, really. We were very close earlier, though, but, you know, it happens, it can happen. It's happened to me in a run before, so it's not the first time. Yeah, it's... If we are coming up to estimate, though, then just let me know. For some reason my X button's not working. My jump button anyway.
That's the emulator for you.
Yeah. No. Yeah, this is very punishing boss battle. I do apologize, this is taking a lot longer than I was expecting it to. I was hoping I would have finished it that time, but there you go. Probably should have just done 2 jumps there, but that's fine. Okay, I'm just going to compose myself again here.
That's it.
Right, okay, that's fine. As long as we don't get hit by them, those are the more difficult things to avoid.
Everything else is easy.
Yeah, the star is easy. Pretty much everything else is easy. Okay, we might get it this time. Right, we're nearly there. And we're actually nearly there this time. Hopefully. Don't do any stupid attacks.
Hang on, and time.
Yes! No, it's not time yet. It's not time yet. Time now!
Jump the gun on that one. Well done, man.
That was probably the most intense boss fight I've ever had.
That is the most
That is
difficult.
the hardest boss fight in any Ratchet game. And even as speedrunners doing it time and time again, it is still stupidly difficult.
I didn't know they made raid bosses in the 2000s.
They did. It was ridiculous.
We were all very invested in that.
Yeah.
During the moment of pure intenseness, we did get a £5 donation from San. Here's a donation from us in the front row, loving the live gaming and seeing how it should be done. Thank you for the donation.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Whoever said that. Thank you.
Before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out to the Ratchet Discord.
Yeah.
To all the runners of all the games,
All the
not
Ratchet
just the
Clank.
Size Matters runs.
All the Ratchet Clank community. I would like to give my extra special thank you to Alamusa, Wheeze, all those in the Size Matters community, Arden, everybody who's been helping out over this past intense period of just practicing for this specific speedrun.
It is worth pointing out that any percent got rerouted about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
That route is still brand new.
Yeah, and I should probably mention, this was the second time ever I've completed this route.
Such a new route. That's how
You
new
told me that
it is.
before we let you on the stage.
So I've only ever completed that route once. That was my PB 5854. So I'm actually looking forward to know what time I got, but I don't think it's a PB.
Don't think it's very good.
1:14.
On 14.
Yay.
On 14, that is still
That's
a very
better than my
respectable
previous
time.
PB before the 58, but yeah, that was pretty good. Thank you guys so much
Thank
for
you very
having
much.
us on. Thank you for.
And we'll see you at your next event.
I'll certainly be at the next. Hopefully, I'll be at the next event, either watching or running, but we'll see.
Well, that was Instasim with Ratchet & Clank Size Matters.